Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of dressing well, keeping healthy, Grey Goose Vodka, Roulette, Texas, and so much more. Today's guest is the brilliant Nathan S. Reffell of Grey Goose here in Texas, USBG, Houston Vice President, and so many other things he's done to contribute to the Houston hospitality scene. And now he's looking so fine with his brilliant suits. We talk a little bit about the wardrobe. We talk a little bit about the style. And we talk about how Nasty Nate emerges on some nights. Great guy. It was a good conversation. We covered lots of different things. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this great chat with Nathan S. Reffell of Grey Goose Vodka.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts that I listen to. They're mostly comedy and a lot of sports stuff. You know, I get into sports, but there's a lot of political stuff that I just like get into, like the Trump cast.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of them that I love that thing, man, because those guys just like, they get it.
So how do so it's a perfect blend, actually.
Yeah. Trump
and comedy.
Yeah.
It's a very golden age of comedy right now, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, it's not the fun kind of comedy. Like, it's just like, we have to laugh because shit is just like so crazy.
It is crazy,
so
right?
We're just like laughing at it, but it's not funny at all. But yeah.
It's a strange time. What do you do? There's so much stuff going on. There's noise, there's people, there's social, there's the president. For you, do you have kind of an escape or a reprieve from this stuff? Was there anything you do to kind of get away from it?
Well, it was bartending, because you kind of like set into that world and you just don't have to worry about anything else except for people and drinks and booze.
Right. Not a bad way to do it.
To me, I mean, I read a lot.
Yeah.
I try to read. I don't have a goal anymore like I used to. I used to like try to read like a book a week or something like that. But I mean, man. I at least try to, get on my Kindle or pick something up.
Yeah.
Not bartending related for at least 20 minutes or 15 minutes or before I go to sleep, just to take my mind off of something.
So mostly a reader, or are you film goer as well?
No, not as much. I mean, film. I mean, there's movies that I go and see, but and I'm all for a good Netflix binge, but like I'm just not like one of those like film buffs.
Yeah.
Everything that gets nominated nowadays, I have no idea what they are usually.
I like it though. You're kind of flying below the radar a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, I like just reading a lot, just stuff that interests me. Most of the stuff nowadays, I guess, is self-improvement stuff and stuff that you can, working on yourself. Because I don't know, it's just you get to that age and you either don't have time or you don't really think about it, and then you hit 30 and you're like, oh wow. I better start taking care of myself.
No, it's right. It's in the rearview mirror the whole time, and you never pay attention until you get to a certain age. It's like, oh man, I never thought about joint care before.
Exactly.
But my knees, what is up with my knee? Right?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And I imagine you being on your feet and having those years in bartending. That's some piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can compare it to being an athlete.
Yeah,
really.
Sure.
I mean, you just get to that age. Once you're in your 30s, like, you're still good. You have the knowledge, and you're at your peak. But you're just not physically able to do a lot of the things that you used to, like, without consequences.
Right.
You used to be able to, bartend all night, maybe get off early, go out and party, and then, go to sleep, wake up, run 5 miles, go back to work, do it again. And,
how's that work for you now if you try to do that shit?
Yeah, you're gonna need a good day. It'll come back to bite you. Yeah. I can get away with it every once in a while, but I always feel like like towards the end of the week, like you'll pay for it.
Yeah,
hardcore.
It accumulates. Yeah, doesn't it? It's like fucking interest on your health.
Exactly,
just the daily accrued interest.
There's things I do now, like if I go out and have a heavy night drinking, I know that it's going to affect me like 2 or 3 days later, like down the line. I'm like, okay, I might get my sleep tonight. I'm going to crash tonight, but then I know I'm going to feel it like maybe a day or two later, and I'm going to feel like trash, man. But,
Dude, I get it, because you're 30, I'm 38. I've got a little bit of time on you, but you've spent far more time behind the bar. And are there things now that you really have to do when you spend a night out? Maybe drinking some water, maybe taking some multivitamins.
Definitely a lot of water.
Yeah.
Try to drink as much water as possible. And then when I get home, this is one thing that's always saves me. Like, I don't care how drunk I am, but I have this habit. I just drink as much water as possible.
Chug it.
Yeah, just chug it, chug it until you just can't anymore, so you're about to burst. And then in the morning, your body thanks you a lot. But milk thistle, that's another thing that somebody just turned me on to, which is like amazing. That one's really, that's a big one. But yeah, I do try to stay up on my vitamins, because I'll be the first one to tell you I eat like shit. Like, I don't eat very well. Like,
and there's Nickel City, which I love, but it does make us feel guilty about what we eat.
Yeah.
But what is it? It's just because you're out and it's more convenient, or you just don't have time to cook at home, or what exactly?
I'm just like a lazy person. When it comes, I just don't. Like, when it comes to food, I just don't get serious about it like some people are passionate.
Yeah.
Or like, even like with cocktails, I get like, or booze, I get excited. I just don't get excited about food. Like, food, just like put it in my body, let me live for another day. Like,
interesting.
It's not that big.
Just sustenance.
Yeah, sustenance. But that could be whatever. Sometimes it's, like a nice steak dinner, or like a healthy, fish or something like that, or something nice. Or it might just be like Burger King or McDonald's, or like,
I like it that you're. It's like it's that. Quality agnostic, right?
Yeah,
whatever I can fill,
whatever whatever does the job.
No, because it's the absence of judgmental nature, right? Yeah, I like that. Now there are some health ramifications, I think, perhaps as you get older, but ultimately, that's not a bad balance. Do you find, this is the thing, and one of the other things is, you majored in fashion ultimately at HCC, but you always really are well put together. And this is going to be a strange way to put this, but like, I gained some weight when I got into my adult years, and it's harder to get stylish clothes when you're fucking fatter,
that
right?
is, that's funny you said that, because I just did like a closet clean, and I was like, how you try to like hold on to things, you're like, man, I'm going to lose the weight, and I'm going to get back into this. And then, the other day I was just like, fuck it, man, it's not happening. Like, back when I was like $140.
Is it pants?
It's pants. The pants are the worst, man.
They are.
And I used to have a tailor, and I would take them out, and I just got to the point where I was like, I just let these pants go. Some of my favorite outfits, some of my suits, I'm just like, just not gonna happen anymore, man.
No kidding.
Like, but I mean, it could if I had the willpower. But
return to the Nate. It's gotta happen at some point, right?
I feel like I look good right now for my age, and I know in the industry that we're in, weight. I mean, it's just hard. There's very few people that I know, that I've known for several years, that have kept the same weight, just because of the lifestyle that we live.
It's tough, man.
It's not necessarily, I guess not a good thing, but, it's just the way it is, especially now that I work on the brand side.
Yeah.
Because...
dinners now, right?
Dinners. Yeah. And just, constant sitting. There's no physical, you're not behind the bar every night.
Right.
You walk about 6 miles a night, probably, if you're bartending. Just running back and forth. So that's a lot of calories, a lot of shaking that cold draft ice.
Sure, that's some back and workout, forth. Man.
Yeah, the sweat and the stress of it all. Like, I was at an ideal weight for like a good while, and then just started like your body gets older, and the metabolism just starts slowing down.
And I think with Grey Goose especially, you guys have to fit into really nice suits.
Yeah, there's another one of those.
God damn, you're right.
Yeah, it's another one of those jobs. You got to look good. You can't just like wear. I worked briefly for Sailor Jerry. It was like one of my first brand gigs actually, and I love that job because you wear a t-shirt and wear jeans and go to concerts.
Tattoos for free whenever.
Tattoos, stuff like that. And then I started with Hendrix, and then I had to like put a vest on and start dressing up. Like,
you were wearing more hats, I noticed.
I did wear a lot of hats. Literally, and now with Grey Goose, I feel like it fits my age now. Like, especially it's right up my alley because I usually I tend to dress like a little bit more mature. Every now and then I'll wear, people sometimes find it weird that I wear like shorts and a t-shirt or something like that. Yeah, because most of the time when they see me, I was in Hendrix mode.
I see.
Okay. And so I would be dressed up. But yeah, most of the time when I'm out and about or when I'm not on the clock, which is almost never, like I'll be
I mean, the shoes I love the shoes you're wearing right now. I'm sneakers because I'm real just like a dude from the 80s, but those are good looking shoes.
I drove into town and I wanted to be able to take my shoes off easily in the car. So I was just like, yeah, let me take my shoes off. And
we are getting older, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. That was the one thing I thought about when I wore these.
I haven't untied these shoes for months. I slip them on and off. That's it.
I don't care for laces anymore. Yeah.
And I mean, Velcro is a little bit of a later stage thing, a latent elderly thing, but I'm still not opposed to it.
That is one thing about my fashion nowadays versus when it used to be, is like as simple as possible. I don't want to have to work. If I have to iron something, that's a factor in me wearing that. I really don't want to have to iron anything. Like, I just want to put my clothes on. Yeah, I wish I could be one of those people that just had 5 outfits for every, just for each occasion or something like that. But
Einstein, Steve Jobs, those guys just pulled out. They don't care.
I don't.
Jeff Goldblum from The Fly.
Yeah,
that was that's
another guy,
right? And I mean, everybody
loves dating yourself right there.
Fucking right, I did. That's 86, 87.
Jeff Goldblum.
What a wonderful movie in itself.
Oh, he's an amazing actor. I love him.
So a lot of stuff to talk about, whether it's Nasty Nate, whether it's your predilection towards fashion. This all starts out in Rowlett. Is that the fair? Is you
Rowlett? So I'm a child of 2 cities. So I was born in Oklahoma.
No kidding.
My parents moved to Houston at a young age. They ended up splitting, and then my mom took me to Dallas, and my sister and brother stayed in Houston. So,
what part of you? So, at least now, are you guys hanging out?
Most of my time was spent in Alief.
Got it.
So, SWAT, Southwest Alief, Texas, and I would spend my summers there as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, I mean, that's still very near and dear to me, that area of town. But Dallas, Rowlett was where I did a lot of growing up as a child. It's a really fun city, but I'm really proud of just, where I grew up, because it was very culturally. I didn't see racism in Houston. You don't, because we were blessed. We have this diverse culture, so you grow up with everybody.
It's massive place.
Yeah, and so
But Rowlett,
a little smaller. I never been around people straight up people who are racist. I don't like black people, or having people at your school carry Confederate flags, or people calling you a nigger outright. I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
and it was a shock to me at first.
So that's kind of the experience you had in Rowlett.
Yeah, for a time, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a lot of white friends. A lot. But there was a lot of there was some places you couldn't go, and I did not see I didn't see racism outright like that until I moved there. I remember being in 4th or 5th grade. There was this girl, and we were really good friends. She was cute, but oh my God, I'll never forget this. I asked her out. I wanted hey, would you go out with me? She's a white girl, and she's like, I'd love to go out with you, but my parents said I can't date black guys.
What the fuck? They explicitly said that?
Yes. Well, she said, I can't. I don't date black guys. My
Jesus
parents,
Christ.
This was she was we were 12, which is insane, So I was just what the fuck is this? So it was insane.
So it helped me kind of understand. I've been interviewing a wonderful, lovely string of women, and I will fully admit that as a white dude, I don't experience this stuff, and that's bad and good.
Yeah,
both sides of the spectrum, right? But tell me how that feels to basically be singled out. You're a dude because of the color of your skin. This fucking girl's not ever gonna date you. How does that shit feel?
You see it all the time. We see, people. It's hard, man. It's hard to explain it. We see things different perspectives. Especially, I hate to throw it back into the industry, but it's the same thing too.
I'm sure
we just have a different perspective on things, and you kind of you think of things differently. You the way you carry yourself behind the bar is different. Right. The way I carry myself when I work for my brand is different. Just because of my upbringing too, and just being around that and being around certain white people, they would see your actions and judge you for them.
So you feel really intensely scrutinized?
Sometimes a little bit too much so, but not. I don't. Nowadays I don't really think about it as much because I am who I am, and if somebody doesn't like it,
to a point you're reading self-help books.
Yeah, I'm like,
I want to evolve now.
Yeah, I'm like, tough titties. If you don't like me, period. That doesn't bother me. But back in the day, back in high school, it really did because I didn't know, who was my friend and who wasn't. And I think nowadays there's a lot of that coming back up too, with, all this Trumpism and whatnot. So, but anyway, full circle, like that is kind of what made me who I am.
Yeah.
My upbringing in Houston, being diverse and hanging out with all these cultures. But then being a child in Rowlett and growing up around a lot of white people, that also, it's kind of giving me two sides to the world. Sure. I see both sides.
Single mom at that point too?
My mom was, yeah.
So that's adding just another level of complexity to it too.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to be a good man because you're raised by a woman that's very strong. I mean, I have to presume so, right? It's a very tough job.
Yeah, she's a tough lady.
Tough for me, right? Like my mom's single mom for a long time. And so there's that. And then not only that, but then you're scrutinized by these fucking people and all that, and does it make you, God, are you a sensitive guy? Are you very empathetic because you've had to do and go through some of this
I'm
stuff?
empathetic for a lot of people. I'm empathetic, to people who, when people don't see who you really are. When people judge you just based off of your looks and what, what they might think you are, that really, really bothers me a lot because I've seen it so much growing up. And growing up around different cultures and people, they just write people off, and a lot of people write me off, or used to. I don't know. Look, I'm different. I am.
Yeah, you are. You exist.
Just like I'm just different. Like I don't see all that. But yeah, it can be hard. It can be hard to see people.
Does that kind of if it? I don't want to use this word, but kind of this. As I kind of like, when you test the wind to see how windy it is, like divers do that shit.
Yeah.
Like even though it's kind of like subconscious or maybe just under the surface, this kind of tension, right? Does that ever make you think I guess maybe I'm not capable? Or does that do the opposite where you're like, no, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to have a good job. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to study. I'm going to really.
If you're talking about Rowlett, you're talking about like just like living up, growing up. I always knew I was going to do something.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what, of course, when I was a kid. I graduated when I was around 16. So
kidding.
I was,
I
graduated early. It wasn't for being smart. It was just for wanting to get out of the city. And I went to school early.
Yeah.
So a year earlier than I should have. So I got out super early. But no, I never really felt like that. I never felt like that would hold me down.
Yeah.
A lot of that was ignorance. A lot of that was, a lot of that was, I didn't know really how cruel the world would be or how.
Sure.
I wouldn't say cruel, but the world is very unforgiving.
It's weathering.
Yeah. Sure. And it's very humbling too. Like, because you think you have the world by the balls when you're 16, 17 or out of high school. And being out in the world for that long, like, yeah, you will go through some things and it'll beat you down. But no, I never felt like that. Even with, people, scrutinizing and discriminating against me.
They weren't going to stop you.
Yeah.
We're going to keep you down, so to speak.
We live in a really land. I mean, we live in a land where, even though it is a little bit harder for Black people, we are still extremely lucky.
Yeah.
Not saying that the, equality, there could be more reaches towards equality, but we are still very privileged to be here. Just everybody as a whole, we're very privileged to be here.
And there's lots of bartender privilege too, right? Being in this industry,
exactly,
lovely thing. I think we all have some shade, of privilege, and I am all right with that.
Yeah, especially bartenders. And I mean, speaking, David Daiquiri told me something one time, and it really resonated with me. I think he said most people live for the weekend, while bartenders live the weekend.
Oh man,
and that's very true.
That's
like
lovely,
we just live a life that's different than people. It's just hard to describe.
Yeah.
And I try to tell it to my family members and what we do. And, they kind of like, do you ever actually even work? And I was like, yes.
Oh, come on. Yeah. See, that's a weird misconception, right?
Yeah. It's like, man, you actually do a lot of work. But
it's
like
backbreaking
surface stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so you, if I read correctly and kind of researched correctly, you worked with United Airlines for quite some time, customer service agent. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually, I was super lucky to get that job.
Was this in Dallas?
That was what moved me to Houston, actually.
Got it. Okay.
So I got that job. They hired me at 17. I wasn't supposed to be hired at 17. That's what brought me out here. And I started being a bad guy, throwing cargo on planes. And then I moved on doing computer stuff, their cargo track system. I ended up being a concierge all at this age. And I was able to travel a lot.
Dude, tell me about the perk for traveling.
It was amazing.
What is that? What's some of the stuff that you would get from United?
So yeah, you basically get to travel for about, it was like $25 domestically and like $75 internationally, but you fly standby, so you really have to plan it, especially international, because you can get in some problems there. You can get stuck for a long time. But yeah, I mean, I would work like 2 weeks on. I'd work really hard overtime, and then I'd take 4 or 5 days off, and I'd pick somewhere on the map and I'd go travel.
Oh man!
Or there's no better feeling, and then you're out on a date, and you're like, you ever been to New York? And like, no, I've never been to New York. I was like, you want to go to New York? Let's go to New York. And then we go to New York the next day and hang out, and then come back the same day. That was like baller status,
dude. And you're young still when you're doing this stuff. I mean, that's a pretty nice...
I was fairly young. Got into a little bit of trouble, but
who doesn't get in trouble? Right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really great way for me to see the world. And then also I was doing fashion at the time, so I got to see a lot of different, styles of fashion going to the major cities. And it's really what got me into bartending.
Really?
And full circle, I used to go to Miami constantly. Miami was like my hub. Like I always.
Interesting intersection.
Yeah, number one, because I could get into the clubs and I was underage.
That's a brilliant reason.
That was one of the things, and because I was like 20.
Yeah.
When I really started going heavy, and so I would go, and I actually started having like people that I knew there, so I would go and hang out with them, and I met this girl I think she was from Lithuania, fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
Just got there, could barely speak English. She's bartending, she's having a great time, and she's like, oh yeah, I made like $400 yesterday, and I was like, you know what? When I get back to Houston, I'm gonna figure out how I can get into this bartending thing.
Really?
I think I'd be great. So I go to bartending school when I get back. And
was it 1-800-BARTEND?
It was one of those.
That fucking commercial. Yep. Still 20 years later, I remember that.
Insane. I went there, but I got a job immediately out of it at a bowling alley. And
really?
The rest is history. 10 years.
Dude, no kidding.
Yeah.
So when you talk about being at HCC and kind of focusing on the fashion thing, was it to dive into something you were passionate about, or did you say I would like to go design in New York or Milan or wherever?
No, I wanted to design men's clothes. That's what I wanted to do. But I started, the more I got into it, and when I was getting towards graduating, it was just like everybody was pushing me towards, women's fashion and couture and things like that. And I was not interested in that. I just wanted to make really nice fucking men's suits and tailor and alter on the side. And I found myself doing alterations for women a lot. I found myself doing stuff that I didn't want to fucking do.
Right.
They wanted me to intern, and I'm already at this time, by the time I graduated, I was making money bartending and still working for the airlines. So I was making good money.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna quit and intern full time, and not make anything. I was like, I don't know about all that.
It's hard to walk away from them.
Yeah. So I mean, despite all the work, I felt like it was the right decision that I made to go with that. And then eventually it got to the point where I had to choose between the airline and bartending, and I chose bartending.
Yeah.
I never looked back.
Didn't look back.
Yeah, it's been very rewarding for the last 6 years.
When you talk about suits, I think suits are something that people don't understand exactly how to get them tailored correctly. But in your opinion, who really wears a suit well in our modern pop culture times? Because I go back and I think Cary Grant, I think the old guys, right? Clark Gable. But
yeah. I mean, I always think James Bond.
Yes.
It's always, I mean,
Daniel Craig
James
suits.
Bond.
Yeah, Daniel Craig suits look great.
Daniel Craig. I mean, it's supposed to be just like a shell, know? I had to think. I mean, just watch the Oscars. Watch one of those award ceremonies. Most of those guys are pretty clean cut. I'd have to think, but I mean, if you open up an article, just GQ, their stuff is just well tailored and cut. But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Do
you have your shell, the suit.
I have my one suit that's just like, I've taken it to the tailor, and like I've probably spent almost as much as the suit.
Yeah.
Just getting it tailored, and like you have to get to a weight that you are comfortable with, and because if any bigger or smaller,
right,
it's just doesn't have the same effect. But I recommend any guy, like just take a suit, or if you can, just have a suit built from the ground up. Which costs,
I love that.
It's gonna
Indochino is one I use sometimes.
Indochino's a really good one.
It's a really cool one, yeah.
But I mean, just spend the $500 and get like a nice black suit, or get a nice tuxedo that you know that you'll be able to wear, and they're like, it's your suit, like it's your go-to suit, and it'll always look good on you.
Fits like a glove. It should.
Exactly. Yeah. Every suit should fit like a glove. I wish I could afford to, but yeah, it's just it's awesome.
Anything, and I don't fancy myself much of a person with regard to fashion. I mean, suits, different deal. I want it to fit right and all of that. Anything you're kind of seeing lately that people are wearing, women or men particularly, that you're like, man, I kind of like how this is going. I see a lot of repetition of 80s fashion.
Yeah, I do.
Now.
I do feel like there's a lot more like bright colors.
Yeah.
In what we're wearing. I mean, I think like in the early 2000s, there was a lot of black and gray. Even myself, like I was just like attracted to black and gray. But there's a lot more color in the fashions that we're going with today. I don't know how long that's gonna last. You know, it's
just cycles,
cyclical. Yeah. But yeah, there is a lot of 80s fashion being revived, and you sit down and think about it. I was like, wow, that's 30 years ago now, and like kids think of the 80s now as like old school, or we used to think the 60s and 70s were the thing. Like my favorite style or timeline of style was, I think, the 60s. Like I just think
really
everybody dressed
top notch.
So top notch. Everybody was to the nines. Like it was just like the norm. It seemed like I would have loved to see fashion back then. Just even the men's in their suit, it was really good time, I think, for fashion. As opposed to 80s, yeah, people are a lot. I will say this: people are they're very bold nowadays.
Right?
Yeah, everybody's very individualistic, I would say, and just like reflecting themselves. There's a lot of different types of styles now, especially when you go to these major cities. Houston, just go to like the Montrose area and walk down the block.
Well, you go to Paris, you'll be in France soon enough. If you stop by Paris.
I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah,
it's actually kind of nice how monochromatic it is. Yeah, it's really lots of blacks, lots of whites. Like it's just that particular contrast.
Yeah,
but really, what I'm getting at is it skinny time or is it wide tie time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the size. Like certain people rock certain things better. Yeah. Like that fat tie is there's
a place, right?
There's a place for it, but it's not for me. But I think I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of in the middle with mine. Like I don't like it too skinny, like pencil thin. Like some people, it's gotten really thin. But a nice, medium sized tie that kind of doesn't take up, and But some of the big guys, they have those wide knot ties.
Right. So it needs because it's got to be relational. I'll tell you one thing I really enjoyed. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Madame Saint Germain.
Ooh, yeah.
Here in that chair right there, in fact.
Awesome.
And they gave me a tie clip. And it is the most beautiful brass Saint Germain encrusted tie clip.
Amazing. They have the best POS. Dude, who gets out a tie clip? That's amazing.
That's a crazy thing. And so then it made me realize how essential a tie clip is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to.
It brings an outfit. So that's what I've always loved about the suit too, just because like little bitty details like that is what like really brings the suit together.
Punches it up.
So much. I have like this. My favorite tie clip is this little purple tie clip, and I mean it could be like an all black suit, but you wear that little tie clip and it just like pop, dude, like brings out everything.
It does. It's just a little bit of glimmer.
Yeah,
the whole thing. All right, so going back to the cocktail thing, you've had a very decorated career from behind the bar, working at you worked at Lalo, right?
At just had their anniversary.
Julep for a little bit.
Julep,
too. A lot of cool spots.
She just dropped her book.
Alba, yeah, dude. I can't wait to read it and kind of catch up with her. But at that moment when the money became secondary, because that seems like what lures a lot of people into the industry because it does pay the bills.
Yeah,
it's pretty instant, right? But what was kind of the situation in which you crafted a cocktail or you were exposed to a combination of flavors like, holy shit, this is actually more than just money. This is an art form. This is a creative outlet.
I would definitely say that was at Passing Provisions.
Yeah.
That was like my first cocktail job whereas we really took a good look at the spirits we were using and or I took a good look. Everybody else was like actually much better than me.
And Stuart was there then?
Stuart was not there at the time.
Okay,
no,
okay.
That was about a year into it, first opening. Stuart has been there for a long time. Yeah. In bar terms, yeah.
I think he's been loyal as shit over there.
Yeah, but shout out to him. He's been doing a great job over there. But yeah, when I was over there, it was a tight ship. I think Alexander Gregg had just left, and I had been one of the people that took his position. And I didn't know my asshole from my elbows when it came to like craft cocktails, and could barely stir. But they broke me in pretty well. And about that time, I joined the USBG.
Yeah,
and that's when things just took off after that, like crazy. I mean, it's just, I think a lot of bartenders that are looking to do better. I mean, I always say it's all about the company that you keep,
sure,
and who you surround yourself with. You'll be surprised, when you look at people who are just, or you surround yourself with people who are just as enthusiastic with you, how far they'll take you, and I mean, how far you'll take them, and it's just you feed off each other. And I think that's what I did. I mean, I met a lot of people in the city, or I was around a lot of people in the city at the time that were very serious and felt like what they were doing was important.
Right. Do you feel like now, as a role as VP at the USBG, the Houston, is this a senior role to give back? Is it to be at the forefront of the community? What exactly does it do for you?
It's definitely my way of trying to give back. We built this chapter. It's come a long way. I didn't say we, but there's a lot of hands that have helped build the chapter to where it is today. And I am extremely passionate about our bar community in Houston. It's something that I've seen grow, and I've seen so many people. We've always had a chip on our shoulder, I think,
sure,
just because of all these other major cities. We're the fourth biggest city in the nation, but it's always seemed like we've been trying to catch up to everybody in the cocktail scene.
Yeah.
But I never felt like that living in Houston. I've always thought that we've been, just as bright and just as creative and just as just as hospitable as anybody else. And it's not to compare, but I've always wanted the best. But then, in this leadership role in Houston, I want, most importantly, for the younger generation of bartenders to see that, if you put yourself out there and you get involved with your community, you can get involved with other people who are passionate about what they do, you're going to do better. It's going to help your career. It can't help but, lift your career up.
Yeah, rises all.
A rising tide. I have this tattoo here that reminds me.
Is that what's on? Is that
this little boat here? Like that's my saying right there. But I really owe so much to what the USBG has done for me, because I threw myself in there, and I mean, we're not even talking that long ago. We're talking 5-6 years ago that all this happened.
Changes profoundly quickly in this industry.
Exactly. I mean, but I feel like with the education I've got, that I've probably gone through another college course, to be honest with you.
Life gives you just the same kind of curriculum, different steps, man, different classes.
Exactly. I felt like, honestly, I look back and I feel like I went back to college again and went to school for mixology or something. I don't know, but
it's life blended with mixology. So in kind of what is a senior role in terms of the dynamic of the Houston cocktail scene, call whatever scenes.
I would not call it senior, because I am not the senior. There are some
semi-senior.
There's some old heads in the industry.
Sophomoric. No, I'm just kidding. So when it comes to things lately, and Pam Wisnitzer was just in town, in fact, doing a panel about women's empowerment, women's issues and things in Houston.
Yeah, the Bacardi Women in Leadership program. Yeah, there was one. The first one kicked off in Houston.
That's right. Yeah.
As a man, I gotta say, man, that was amazing. It was amazing.
So being a man that is being made well aware of what is harassment that happens overtly, subversively as well, do you feel any kind of responsibility? And I'm not putting this on you single-handedly. We all have a responsibility. But being someone that is prominent in the community and someone that does have a voice and can actually mentor and influence, what do you feel might be the role of people like yourself in the industry to talk about this harassment and this assault that goes on?
It's tough, always tough to start the conversation, but I'd rather, like in life, I say it's always easier to go through something than around it.
Yeah.
And just tackle it. it's going to be hard to talk about, and that's something I think we as a community have to talk about because it happens everywhere, even in our city. And I look back on maybe some of the parties that I've been to, some of the places I've been, around the country, some of the conferences, and there were some times where I was like, man, I don't know about this person. I don't know about we just kind of let it go because chalk it up to alcohol. But I think that's one thing that we need to sit down and talk about is just consumption at events like this and just being aware of ourselves. And then also just speaking to men, because I think in the long run, with this women's movement going on, if we can't get men on board, that stand up, it's going to be hard. It's just like this black movement and equality. If we don't get white people on board, nothing's going to change. We have to get each other on board. We have to help each other. So I think definitely we need to reach out, or I know I'm going to try to reach out, not just to all the community, but mostly men in our community. And it's like, let's sit down and talk about how, we treat women, how we view women. Is there something that's maybe inbred in us that we, are putting on women in the industry that we might not know that we're doing?
It's hard when you operate a certain way, right?
Yeah, like you just get used to operating it. And man, there's certain things that I did as a man, working behind a bar that just, I didn't even realize I was doing it, to certain women. Just like, man, I think I'm almost like talked down on, certain women.
And inadvertent, right?
It's not inadvertent, but I realized a couple of years ago I was working with somebody. I was like, wow, I kind of sound like an asshole when I talk to her. How come I don't talk to, this guy like this? So it's definitely something, when you think about it or when somebody brings it up, when you really start thinking about your habits. And I always say to myself, like, if you're in your comfort zone, something's not right.
Oh,
so when you're too comfortable, especially when I was behind the bar, like I was like, man, I'm too comfortable behind the bar. I'm gonna end up doing something really stupid, if I don't start checking my habits and what I'm doing. So
no, it's always good to reevaluate. It's good that you read because it'll always introduce other perspectives and help you know that, man, maybe it's all right to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
talking. One of the things that's been interesting about chatting with hundreds of people at this point about all of these kind of dark, but yet realistic things that are happening to people. It's uncomfortable for me sometimes, but I have to I got to keep talking about this, and we got to stop, thinking that it's some uncouth issue. No, we have to fucking talk. It's about the conversation and not the tweets. If you just get the bite-sized pieces of it, you don't get...
Man, if you can... having a real-life conversation with somebody is just so much more fruitful than posting some type of meme. Right. Or, if you've just grabbed, even if it's a friend, go and just talking to them about something or reaching out. I've tried, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people on social media to just hear out some of their perspectives. I haven't deleted all my friends who are Trump supporters and stuff like that. I really do try to hear their perspective. But I would love to just, I've had more fruitful conversations with just sitting down with them and talking.
Absolutely.
And it sometimes gets very uncomfortable. And it gets, borderline, hurtful sometimes to talk to them. Or, it might seem the other way around with them too. And, we drop some heavy truth bombs basically.
Yeah. But it has to be
it has to happen.
Yeah.
Some talks have to happen for us to move on. And I think even as a country collectively, man, we've gotten too addicted to social media and it's too easy to try to have your voice heard there, when you think about some of these old school civil rights leaders. I don't think I would see MLK out tweeting about something,
No.
He'd be out on the streets.
He'd be doing it instead of talking about
he'd be doing it,
Yeah.
And that's what I think we really need to get back to, our grassroots, talking to our neighbors, talking to people face to face, really seeing the emotions on their face, being empathetic. That is one thing this country lacks: empathy. We don't give a fuck anymore about anybody.
No, it's right.
Unless it's us and our own.
Has it benefited me?
Yeah. Well, if it didn't happen to me, tough titties. It's
no,
really bad.
But I get it, and the thing that's at least optimistic or gives me some hope about all this is that people like you, people like me, can just talk, and we're not afraid to talk about this.
Yeah.
We may disagree, and that's fine. We may agree, and that's fine as well. But if you have to expand outside of the sound bites.
Oh, for sure.
Because those are crafted to pick a very specific narrative that doesn't reflect us as a as a people.
Exactly.
I think people actually want to get along. I think we want to work together. In Houston during the hurricane, if nothing else showed that fuck what is the perspective about what people think about.
I will say this about Houston though, man. Like, due to the diversity there, the diversity there is very strong, man. I haven't had that many problems, with race there at all. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. It's there. But man, we work together in such a way in Houston that when I go to another city and I see, that, or I visit, these communities, bar communities especially, and I hear all these problems.
Yeah.
It's kind of not like a thing in our community in Houston. Not as much, I would say.
Right. I mean, it's lovely to hear that.
But I think that's great. I'm probably going to get chewed up for that.
But that's fucking how it's going to be.
Yeah,
that's the best part of it, right?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked for that. But
people are going to be so upset because, no, man, Houston's inclusive. No, it isn't. Goddamn.
Yeah, somebody's going to find something.
Dude. Well, someone's always going to say something. But you know what? That's the great part about this. I'm not going to edit it. Say what you want.
But for my eyes, that's what I see. And I'm very proud of the community and that, we do come together quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great women bartenders. I mean, I think we have the Tastemaker Awards coming up.
Absolutely.
Ultramap. This was the first year where it's just like all these badass girls, and Alex and Granza and James Corona and Aki and Sarah Troxel. They're all just like meat and potato bartenders. They put in work. They're not, bar managers. That was a thing, I mean, some of them are, but I mean, they're actually working behind their bars and they're actually influencing the community. So I really want to shout out to those guys. Those guys are amazing. But it's a really diverse group of bartenders, and I really, love that they're starting to get coverage, and it's not just the same people over and over.
No, me too. It feels like we're moving in a direction, and I think I'm all right with the direction. In some senses, and other side, I mean, you coming into Austin when I've lived here for 18 years, and this is the first time I've ever known of a serial bomber in Austin. This shit's fucking
insane.
Crazy.
What the fuck is going on in Austin?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. And I sadly can say, living up north and being a white guy, perhaps I'm going to be immune to this thing. And I don't say that with any fucking sarcasm. I'm dead serious. There's been linked and all that. But things will unfold, but it's a strange time.
It's a really, really strange time.
Yeah.
And I'm just nobody was hurt from South by Southwest, right?
No, thankfully. Yeah, no weird drunk driving incidents or any of that. So this all kind of happened just after, but it overlapped a little bit at the end of the last week. So I'm thankful for that. So many people downtown.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, so you've had, this decorated career working at great spots throughout Houston, making that transition outside of what is corporate culture, despite all the travel perks, but you get some travel perks now. It's turned out pretty well. This position as part of the Vive group, which is predominantly Grey Goose, if I understand correctly.
No, it is Grey Goose.
Entirely. So Ian is one of your mates in town.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. And Rob Leisure, is that the other guy that's here in Austin?
Derek Leisure.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
That's his moniker, I would say.
Yeah, that is a porno name for sure.
I gotta ask him. Like, we're gonna sit down tonight. I'm gonna ask him about that. Is there anything I need to know?
You're a man of leisure. Okay.
Do any films with Mike Honcho or anything like that?
Oh man, Brock Landers or Chess Rockwell. Yeah. Watching Boogie Nights the other night. Some of the greatest names. Derek Leisure may be one of the better names in the porno industry.
I could see that on a business card. No.
Oh, absolutely. It would be like a velvet one.
Yeah, it'd have to be velvet. Yeah.
Well, how did that conversation start? Where I know or rather Dwayne is in Houston, and he's obviously a massive spokesperson for great talent and Bacardi. Like, how did you get approached and kind of poached for this position?
Well, I was working with Hendrix, and man, I loved Hendrix. I've really grown with that brand, and I learned what being a brand ambassador was really about. Learning from those people, and I've had a lot of people that I looked up to that may not know. I mean, Charlotte Voisey, Angus Winchester, Anne Louise, Jordan Bushell, all just great brand ambassadors, and I've always aspired to be like them. and have that influence and be able to use their brands to inspire and uplift people. So I think I did a lot with that on the local scale, at least with Hendrix, and I'm really proud of the work that I did. That being said, Dwayne, Dwayne had come into town as our portfolio as a portfolio ambassador for Bacardi, and he's always taken a shine to me, and really, he's been in the game for a long time. You want to talk to somebody? Talk to.
I've talked to Dwayne.
Oh my God,
he's
Dwayne
been in that chair too.
He's got some stories, man.
Oh, wonderful, beautiful person.
I love Dwayne, and so he's approached me about a lot of things. He was approaching me for a lot of different positions throughout the company, and I wasn't interested. I was like, and then he had jokingly said probably like 6 months ago, would you want to work with vodka? And I was like, man, I don't know. I just don't think I'd do well with vodka. I think that every role, somebody has to embody it. I don't know if I would embody it. And what really turned me on though was, first of all, just Bacardi as a whole, the company, the way they do business. Very family oriented. They're still family oriented, and they treat everyone like family. That was one thing that appealed to me. Yeah, very much so. Like everybody was a part of this family.
Sure, community and
yeah, and which I think when you do have a family, that gives you a sense of obligation, not to let the family down. So I really like that. Second of all, as opposed to Grey Goose, I mean, just looking at the plan that they have to continue. This 21 year legacy of just making this amazing artisanal vodka. I think this 5-year plan or this plan that they have, I want to be a part of it. Yeah, and I think it's bigger than one person. We're helping to push this category, the vodka category, to the next level, and it doesn't sound like much, vodka. Though when I thought about it, it's a huge part of our lives. Mm-hmm. Like 90 billion cocktails are made a year with vodka. And we kind of, it's just like a second thought to us now. Sure. We don't really think a lot about our vodkas.
It's like hamburgers.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to think about it.
Exactly. Yeah. We start to think about things a lot. But yeah, our vodkas, pay the majority of most bars' bills. And we just, don't give a lot of thought to it. So I think, now that we're really in this renaissance of cocktails and cocktail culture, it's a good time to start thinking about the things that we're putting in our body and the claims that some of these, somebody mentioned the other day, we have a lot of bartenders. Actually, it was Jason Cosmos. He said, we have a lot of wannabe, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but like people that want to test the bartender, and like people are doing their research
it's
now.
Posturing, man. Yeah,
they're doing their research hardcore, so they'll go and try to challenge the bartender and try to stump you. And I think, the vodka category, I knew, even when I think about it now, I'm just like, man, that was kind of my crutch. When people ask me for a vodka cocktail, I always try to lean towards gin. Yeah. But like, it can be hard to make, strip down canvas and play off the small little nuances in vodka. It's a challenge. Any bartender worth their salt, it could be hard to make a balanced, vodka cocktail using whatever different spirit you want. So.
Well, and having spent some time with Francois, you fall in love with that brand all over again.
So
I got a crush on him. My wife got a crush on him.
Guy.
Just like hanging out.
So within 3 hours of being in Miami, we went to Miami for our summit and training, and within the first 3 hours, like Francois walks in, bonjour. I'm like, oh my God, this is Francois.
Talking about good suits, man.
So, we're talking about a well dressed man. But yeah, just amazing, incredible mind.
Yeah.
You want to talk about just a doctorate. Like he gave us a seminar on just, wine, and he was tasting and took us to a bunch of different wines of the region and then brought it back to Grey Goose. And he really is a master of his craft.
He gives back to the community too.
Absolutely.
Donates a lot of money and volunteers time.
Absolutely.
So all right, vodka is uncouth, but it's growing and it's emerging again, which is nice. For me, I've got the privilege of having spent time with Ian, with Julien, and Francois, all the great people, right? Tell me, as a dude that knows nothing about Grey Goose, what is the single thing that really does make it exceptional?
I think just because it's made in a way that, first of all, no other vodka was traditionally made back then. Yeah. From the ground up. Francois was very adamant about having control over every single process. He basically took the cognac making process, which is very strict, very tedious, and he applied that to making vodka. So when he chose the wheat, he's it's the people who produce the wheat. It's one cooperative, so everything's under their control. They know what's growing, what kind of product they're using, and how it's going to behave.
Yeah.
And Grey Goose is simply just that wheat and water at the end of the day. And that soft winter wheat just comes together to make an exceptionally smooth, pure spirit. But I would say it's the work that's put into it is what really makes it stand out.
Yeah.
And the passion that Francois had to create a vodka that didn't take any shortcuts, I think. Whereas now most of the vodkas we see, most people, when they do produce vodka, we know are, they're
produce was an interesting word there.
Yeah, produce. I'm doing the fingers.
Right.
But when they produce vodka, it's usually for them to get some money in their pockets very quickly.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's not, it's mostly, marketing. They'll come up with a quick story. But as to, Grey Goose, I really think that you're getting your money's worth when you're paying for that vodka because you know that it was made, in the proper way and in the proper channels, and it's made to taste like that. When you're tasting Grey Goose, it tastes like that for a reason because Francois wanted you to taste that wheat in the vodka.
I love it.
And he wanted to have those flavors and that nuance. And when you nose that glass and you get all those vanilla notes, that was all done on purpose. It wasn't done by accident.
And Final Cut. The studio had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? As a director, he made sure that vision
for sure.
carried every bottle at a time.
He still to this day continues to taste every batch and, and makes sure everything's, all good. And even the other expressions too, the VX and the Ducasse, amazing expressions.
No, so you're going to we'll have to try those sometime because I haven't had them yet. Yeah. Because there's lovely extensions of the brand in that sense,
Oh, yeah.
But you guys, the Vive team, is taking Texas by storm and
absolutely
some lovely personalities and a porno,
Yeah. And so fitting for Austin, man. You guys get down here.
What the hell? We get all the good stuff, apparently.
But yeah, that Vive, I love that because it's life, basically. It's a life well lived. And
Joy de vivre. Right?
Yeah, just like it, you have vodka is very much about the experience, and how we feel. And, for 21 years, Grey Goose has been out. That older generation, they know when they order Grey Goose, they're going to feel a certain way, and they feel, like they could be on top of the world. And I think even with this younger generation, they're not, they don't drink it like we used to, or, I kind of grew up in the middle of it. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't like, when Grey Goose came out, I wasn't drinking, but I came in at that time where, people started actually thinking about what they want to drink.
Right.
And so we're kind of a child, we're kind of in between two drinking generations, to be honest
it's a nice place to be. I mean, I'm kind of older, so...
Yeah.
But still, it's all this transition.
But we got these new kids that are just turning 21.
Past meets present meets future.
Exactly.
It's a very cool time.
But yeah, it's a really cool time for people my age, I would say, just because, we kind of remember what people used to drink like, in the late 90s, even though we weren't legally drinking.
Of course. Of course
obviously. But I mean, and then we see what people kind of drink like now, so we can kind of bring it together and bring
analog and digital worlds colliding, man.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
So I've got 2 more questions for you. You're here in Austin. You're going to have a good time. It's exciting to see where you're going to go to next and hang out with Mr. Porn Derek Leisure, which is great. I got to connect with him. You are sipping anything. You can sip the Ducasse. You're at any bar in the world, and you're just sitting there sipping, and you can have a conversation with anyone, living or deceased. Who would you love just to post up at the bar and have a conversation with?
Man, that's such a broad question. That's a lot of people.
I think depending how we're feeling, what season it is, that all changes.
Jesus? No, I'm just kidding. No, definitely not Jesus.
Well, you'd be drinking wine. You want to drink some vodka, right?
Man, I'd probably say Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dude, are you sure you're going to hold, he drinks, from what I understand.
Yeah, they probably drink. Yeah, I imagine. There was this commercial, though, was for Centauri whiskey.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
I think, yeah.
It's an old school commercial. Yeah, it's just like, And that, I loved it because he probably just improvised the whole thing, and he was probably just shit-faced, and he was just like, it was so cool. But I mean, I imagine just sitting next to him at the bar and just like, holding a conversation with him. I would have loved that.
I think the Rat Pack, people. That's an amazing.
Yep. But yeah, those guys were just like, they probably were just like the most down to earth guys.
Probably.
It just seems like it, even in their music and the way they carried themselves, like. But true gentlemen, though. But that was that
seemingly a nice prototype and template for being a gentleman, dressed well, treating people with respect, and drinking in a very
drink your whiskey,
in a polite way.
Yep.
All right, so the last question, because I got some intel when we were talking about this before we started recording, but what defines Nasty Nate? Is that a shift in personas? Do you put on a hat? Do you take the glasses off? What exactly?
The glasses usually.
You just took the glasses. So you're transforming into Nasty Nate, right?
Nasty Nate is a person that usually does not come out till after midnight. He loves to dance, preferably on top of bars.
Sure. Shirt or no shirt?
He keeps his clothes on.
Okay, good.
For the most part until he gets home, but that's usually after a few espresso martinis. To close out the night. He just likes to dance and boogie. He comes out every now and then, and I know a lot of girls out in Houston, like when they feel like dancing, they're like, "Where's Nasty Nate? Bring him out." Like, we feel like dancing right now, and
it's a real strange connection. But Jerry Lewis was in kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde movie. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it, but maybe that is you hearkening back to the Rat Pack days.
But he's definitely a fun person to be around. He's definitely fun. He definitely Veeves harder than I do. If you would, he is like Veev at the max.
Is he sexier and more suave?
I kind of think of like Family Matters when Urkel turned into Stefan or Cal. Yeah. That would probably be Nasty Nate. And then I put the glasses back on, and I'm just like cocktail nerd Nathan.
Just having a crush on Laura, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep, all I wanted was Laura. That's all he wanted. Drink the potion.
I think that's an amazing recap.
Yep. But yeah, that's Nasty Nate. You'll get to meet him one day, eventually. Everybody
I'm taking
does.
pictures, and I'm going to meet him. It has to be
or you can just look it up on YouTube.
No, I like that too. That's good. Because it's no NSFH or FW stuff because you're keeping your clothes on.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep. PG 14, 13.
This has been like a year in the making trying to make this happen.
Yeah, it has been, man. I know you reached out to me for a while. I really do appreciate you. Because I'm glad you did it now because a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
A lot of things have changed. So
we're older, we're wiser.
Yeah, a little bit older, a little bit wiser. And this year is just setting out to be a really good year for, I think, me at least.
I think so, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's a brilliant time to intersect and catch up and get to understand where you've come from and kind of where you're going. And honestly, man, we're sipping this I can't remember if this is 16 or whatnot, but 2016 birthday bourbon, Old Forester, 100 proof. Dude,
good stuff.
Sharing bourbon with you in my house, talking about life. No better way to spend a Tuesday evening, mate.
I concur. Yeah, that's
thank you.
That kind of night.
Thank you so much for stopping
Cheers.
by.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon, yeah?
Yep, absolutely.
So what do you guys think, Mr. Nasty Nate of Houston, Texas? Great Goose. Now, of course, Nasty Nate is just a moniker. Mr. Nathan S. Reffell is a refined gentleman, as those beautiful suits for the Grey Goose team. All those guys look stunning every time they are out there doing education and peddling some beautiful vodka. But no, he's got this musical side. He's got this style side. He's got this nuance. He's a good dude. And it was great to finally get to sit down to chat with him. It seems like he's made Houston a better place for the hospitality industry, and also Houston has made him a better person in the hospitality industry. So I can't wait to see you soon, Nate, and I'm glad we finally got this chat out. I think people will be really excited to learn more about you. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter how many Hulu shows you're going to watch and binge, if they've got Sean Penn in them, or if you're thinking The Nun was actually pretty good, I don't care if Rotten Tomatoes says it's 20% rotten. Doesn't matter to me. Please keep dancing.